Well, this is my third baby. I'm 32 weeks pregnant, 8 weeks out from my third home birth, at least if everything goes as planned. And I'd like to share with you how I'm preparing and how things are different for me this time with it being my third. So pretty much all home births start with midwifery care, so finding a good midwife. I feel really lucky and blessed because I've gotten to have the same midwife for all three of my births and experiences, and she has been incredible, has been a wonderful resource for me all along the way. She honestly has given me much better care at home than I think I could have gotten anywhere else in the hospital or otherwise. She's really good at looking at my labs in detail and making sure that if I do become anemic, that I get on top of that with supplements and iron, etc., immediately. And she's always there for me postpartum, just answering questions about why a baby is crying and what might be wrong, things that I could try. She's helpful for lactation support and just general checking up on me really often, coming to my house so I don't even have to go out with a newborn. And she's just really gone above and beyond for me so many times over the years through my experiences, and I could not be more grateful for her support. Part of my midwifery care always includes taking prenatal vitamins and whatever other supplements my midwife happens to recommend for how my current lab values look or what I'm feeling. But this time in my third pregnancy, I have been using acupuncture and Chinese medicine herbs, and I didn't use those my previous times, but they've actually been making a really big difference for me so far, and that's been really exciting and just wonderful to have something else that really helps. So I've been doing acupuncture about once a month for this whole pregnancy, and we'll probably do it more frequently as I get closer to the end, and then certainly postpartum, because recovering from birth, as you probably know if you've done it before, can be quite a challenge, and I just need all the support I can get, and acupuncture is an amazing tool. I've also been using some Chinese medicine herbs as prescribed by my acupuncturist, and these really make a big difference for me in my energy levels. So it's a really generic pregnancy kind of formula that my practitioner prescribed to me, but I definitely notice a difference between when I take it and when I don't. It really boosts my energy levels, but in a very subtle, sustainable way. So nothing like taking caffeine or energy drinks or something like that. It's very, very slow, steady, sustainable, gives my body good nourishment. And then in all my pregnancies, I have always continued to exercise all throughout. It's always been a priority to me. I just have to have more patience with myself for, obviously not being able to do as much as I could when I'm not pregnant, and just toning it down some, slowing it down, being more patient. But I have exercised up until 39, 40 weeks with all of my babies, and I'm really thankful for that opportunity to be able to move my body and keep active. I will say this time around, with it being my third pregnancy, I do feel much freer with myself to just lie down and rest in the middle of the day, especially if I worked out that morning. I am going to be feeling it a lot more later, and there's no reason to not just lie down and have a little rest. Maybe you sleep, maybe you don't. I do that if I at all can get by with it. And then something else that I'm doing this time around is I'm still working my 12-hour ER shifts, which can be brutal, I'm not going to lie. But I've learned to schedule myself a little bit differently to accommodate my energy needs during pregnancy. So I just try to make sure that I have at least a day off in between my shifts so that I can recover, because I just found that if I worked back to back, it was getting to be pretty rough and it was hard for me to recover. And I just thought, there's no reason for me to be doing that. I might as well be taking care of myself because I can and I should. Something that I've learned from my past pregnancy and birth experiences is that I need to lower my expectations. So I just assumed that maybe my second baby was going to be a better baby in the newborn stage than my first was. And I don't know why I thought that. I mean, my first one was pretty rough, but I don't know why I thought it was going to maybe be a lot better, but this time around, I feel pretty settled into, hey, newborn life is just hard. This is what I'm going to expect. And now that I know what to expect, I can actually make some preemptive plans and changes into my setup and structure, how I'm going to change things so that maybe it won't be quite as stressful and I'm not just leaving it up to chance like I was before. I will say that I do think that breastfeeding is probably always tough to get the hang of, whether it's your first time, your second time, or your fifth time. Like for me, it was definitely an experience again, all over again, doing it with my second and just having to reaccustom my body to that experience again and learning how that new baby and I work together. So I'm expecting to relearn breastfeeding all over again with my third, and I'm fine with that because I think it's an incredible way to bond with my baby and hey, we're in it for the adventure. I also know that birth will not be pain-free. Not that I ever expected that. I certainly never did by any means, but it's just always a good reminder to tell myself, yes, it is going to be difficult. It is one of the hardest things that I've done, but also wasn't as bad as what I had always had in my mind before ever having children. And I'm more than capable of doing it. And I love the fact that I can do birthing at home because I have control and freedom over my movements and how I want to use my body, how I want to manage my pain, and who is there to help me do it. And it honestly makes it feel way more manageable and like a much better experience. I also know that it will take my older kids time to adjust to the baby. We had a rough time with my 2-year-old when my second was born. He really acted out in tantrums for several weeks after she came to be with us, and that was a pretty rough time. I remember thinking that it was rougher handling him than it was my newborn, but I expect that this time, and I do hope and pray that my two older kids can actually, rely on each other for some support. But I also do expect that I'm going to need to devote some time to them during the newborn adjustment period and where I can hand the baby off to my husband or just while the baby's sleeping and spend some quality one-on-one time with my older kids to make them feel like they are still welcomed and loved and that ultimately nothing is really going to change for them. I have some definite changes that I'm making with my third baby that I didn't do with the other two. And the first of those is getting some night shift help at home. So I actually had someone who volunteered to help stay overnight a few different times in the first couple weeks of my second being born. And that was just such a game changer. It wasn't something that I had asked for. It had just fallen in my lap and happened. And it was truly the best gift that anyone had ever given to me. So this time around, I am actually planning to do that on the forefront and finding someone or a couple different people who could stay a couple nights of the week for just the first couple weeks to give me a little bit of my sanity back where I can sleep better. I still obviously have to get up in the night to feed the baby, but at least don't have to worry about settling the baby back down to sleep or anything like that. Another change I'm making is I'm getting a hands-free breast pump this time. Yay, I'm so excited about that. I never did that the other times and is one of my biggest regrets because not having a hands-free breast pump, I think really impeded my breastfeeding experience. And last time, I think it was definitely one of the major reasons that I lost my milk supply sooner than I really wanted to, just because when I was away from my baby, I couldn't keep up with the regular breast pump very well, since I always had to sit down and have it plugged into a wall outlet. And especially trying to do that at work was really challenging, since I'm a nurse and I'm on my feet and everyone's always relying on me and all of these things. It was such a challenge. So this time around, I'm just gonna be able to put them in my bra and walk around and continue on with my normal life and come back and empty them and clean them and whatnot. So I'm really excited about that. Another thing that I'm doing differently is I'm approaching my maternity leave and childcare situations differently. So I have had different work setups the past couple of times with my other babies. And it ended up being where I didn't have a set time that I needed to go back to work or school. There was just some different factors going on. And that ended up actually being stressful for me. I know for some people, having that indefinite time period is actually really helpful because, they can go back when they feel like they're ready. But for me, it felt like it drug everything out and made it all longer. And I couldn't see an end in sight to this confined postpartum period. So this time around, I for sure have a date set when I'm returning to work, and I think that will help me a lot mentally. I also am keeping up with more regular childcare this time while I'm on maternity leave. So before, I just had my older kid with me 24/7 when I was home with the baby, and that was challenging for sure. I mean, it's challenging enough to be at home with your baby all the time when that baby is very new and you're not sleeping very well and you're still trying to recover and all of the things. But this time around, I'm going to keep both of my kids in some kind of childcare, or my older has school. And that way I can have some time alone with baby and also time to rest and take naps as the baby does take naps, and I don't have to always worry about what the older kids are doing. I'm excited for the freedom that is going to bring me. Recovery-wise, I didn't have a terrible time recovering from the other two, but I definitely plan on using acupuncture and Chinese medicine herbs for recovering from this birth, just because all that blood loss and big change on our bodies can really set us back. And I felt that last time. And so I'm thankful for the opportunity to use something like acupuncture and herbs to build my blood back up and make me stronger and keep my energy flowing and just keep me healthy and having a faster recovery. I will say that overall, I definitely feel that I'm not nearly as intimidated this time around as I have been the other pregnancy and birth times, and I'm thankful for that. A lot of that comes from just experience and having experienced it in my own body before, and strongly trusting the process, trusting my midwife who's with me and my husband, and just the setup that we have at home, and knowing what the plan is. I also feel like I have a lot more realistic expectations, which is helpful. And ultimately, I'm really excited. I'm finally feeling like this baby really is about to come in about 8 more weeks. Yay. And I'm excited to welcome that new member of our family and see how he integrates into our lives. And if you're interested in learning more about home birth, you can check out my other home birth videos here. Especially the one, should I have a home birth, or why home birth is not nearly as terrifying as most people think it is. Thanks for watching. See you next time.